Hey everyone, I'm Armor Gaming, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a monster analysis on Francine Frank, the newest latest team race monster. Frankenstein has finally found the one. Francine Frank is toned, just like him, not very bright, just like him, and has a bit of a bad attitude, just like him. Looks like the Monster Matches app has finally worked for these two. And so here we have Francine Frank, the newest latest Thunder Legendary current team race monster. She's a part of the Halloween Grand Prix race, and with that being said, let's get right into the analysis into her stats. Her power is 3465, which is right around average for Thunder monsters. Her life stat is the amazing thing, 43,128. This is an enormous life stat. In terms of Thunder monsters, it is the absolute highest. It even beats Inquisitor Fullman, and in terms of overall every single monster that's ever been released in Monster Legends, well, this actually puts her in second place. She's second only to Fated, who boasts a life of 45,239 to be specific, and she outplaced Gerses that has an HP of 42,525, so she is the second tankiest monster in Monster Legends. And then lastly, her speed, well, her speed isn't that great, and we see that with a lot of tanks. 3,157, this actually makes her the slowest Thunder Legendary monster. She's actually tied with CYMO, so two incredibly slow monsters. And in terms of tanks, well, Fated has a slower base speed, 3,069. Gerses has an even slower base speed, 2,926. So hey, at least she's faster than those two tanks. But compared to someone like Inquisitor Fullman has a speed stat of 3454. So Inquisitor Fullman has something going for him, right? He has a high HP, he has a high speed stat, whereas other tanks don't really have that. So Francine Frank, great power, a phenomenal life, speed stat is lacking. Fortunately for her, she does have the tough trait, meaning 35% of status effects won't last against her, which is really great because she really does need some sort of protection against control skills and again torture status effects, because torture status effects is going to be exactly how you kill Francine Frank. And then she has quite a bit of versatility, being in the Underworld book, being in the Female book, being in the Undead book, and of course being a Thunder monster, meaning that she can fight monsters like Voltic and Xyla and just absorb so much damage. She has that advantage that Voltic and Xyla doing damage against Francine Frank will be 50% reduced, so she's definitely usable in that regard. And then her relic slots are like some of the best relics you can have in a monster like this. She can hold double shield, meaning if you're fortunate enough to have the tenacity shield, at the start of the battle all of your allies gain X points of armor depending on the level. So if you happen to have tenacity shield and you max it out, at the start of your battle all of your allies gain 31,000 points of armor, and if she can hold two of them, that's 62,000 points of armor for a whole entire team just for having Francine Frank on your team. So just her relic slots alone puts her at a competitive advantage over some of the other tanks. Inquisitor Fullman, for example, he can hold an armor relic and a shield, so you can utilize a shield, but not a double shield like Francine Frank. And I will be making some comparisons to Francine Frank and Inquisitor Fullman because he was recently released and they're both Thunder monsters, and also because there's a little debate on between is she even worth getting or is Inquisitor Fullman the way to go. Also keep in mind this is a team race monster, meaning a lot of players will be able to get this monster at rank 3, meaning level 115, meaning she's going to have these stats: 3900 power, 56,000 HP, and a speed stat of 3587. Now of course if we get Inquisitor Fullman and we put the same stats, he'll be a lot better, but again, to actually get Inquisitor Fullman all the way to rank 3, it's not going to be that easy to do, whereas a lot of players can get Francine at rank 3, and some players are even going to get her at rank 4 with these stats. So just one thing to keep in mind, that this analysis does focus on Francine Frank at level 100, but again, in the real Monster Legends game, a lot of players are going to have her way ranked up, and a lot more players will probably utilize her than they think they would have if she was only at level 100. And also I would like to point out, I do have a bias against tanks because I really do believe that tanks don't get to be utilized that much unless there's something really darn phenomenal about them. Inquisitor Fullman, for example, has a trait that all of your team gets a 50% shield from the start of the battle, which I think that's quite groundbreaking. Like, even if you're facing level 130 monsters with level 10 runes, that trait alone can protect your monsters. And partner that up with the fact that he can hold a tenacity shield himself, he can protect your monsters trait and relic alone, and then he has great skills to boot. And so now we're gonna find out if Francine Frank can also impress me the same as Fullman. So let's see, her ultimate attack is Bride of Destruction, deals massive thunder damage to all enemies will die after 3 turns. A delayed kill ultimate, personally I'm not the biggest fan of delayed kills. 3 turns is a lot. The enemy could remove delayed kill in the matter of 3 turns, maybe you'll be dead in 3 turns. Overall, I'm not the biggest fan of the ultimate attack, Skills group 1 is also not that interesting. We have spammable skills, a lot of them. We have a stamina leak, 50% chance. We have a damage reduction. Again, it's spammable, not that interesting. The only one that is sort of interesting is beastly recovery. And that's primarily because this skill applies regeneration to itself. It also has a 50% chance of applying shock, but I like the regeneration because it has no cooldown, meaning even if you get hit with the cooldowns activated, you can at least do something that recovers your life, or at least sets up a life recovery for the next 3 turns. And I mean, technically you could have life regen for the whole duration of the game, which I think is pretty awesome. So you might want to run it if you're really worried about cooldowns activated, but if not, you'll completely disregard skills group 1, and all of the skills you're going to choose will be from skills group 2 and 3. Alright, so the first skill we have is Villager's Nightmare. Deals moderate metal damage to all enemies, applies stamina leak to all enemies, requires cooldown. And I just realized that this is a thunder monster that has a metal attack. Very interesting. Anyhow, a metal based AoE it appears according to this, although the skill itself says it's a single enemy. Let's assume it's an AoE, and it also applies stamina leak to all of the enemy monsters. I'm not the biggest fan of stamina leak. I think you can do without Villager's Nightmare, but again, I do think it's interesting that it's a metal based AoE. Villager's Fear, on the other hand, deals moderate special damage to a single enemy and applies major damage reduction to all of the enemy monsters. So you single target an enemy monster and deal damage to that one enemy monster, but all of the enemy monsters get damage reduction, major damage reduction, which I believe is a 50% reduction, which I think is amazing considering this monster is a tank. This monster is there to protect your team. You can hold the double tenacity, and her main objective is to make it so the enemy team can't destroy your monsters. And what better way to do that than by applying some sort of damage reduction so that damage output is reduced. This is a skill I think you could definitely run. It does have a pretty high cooldown of a 3-turn cooldown. The stamina cost at 28, that's reasonable. The cooldown I don't like, it's also not that very strong, but again, you're going after that major damage reduction to all of the enemy monsters. Self-mending limbs, this is a must-have skill for this monster. Deals moderate thunder damage to one enemy monster, it applies shock to that enemy monster. So this will help if you're facing an extra turn monster, a Faraday, a Voltic, a Xyla. And the main reason you want this skill is because it heals you by 100%. You get 100% of your HP back. That's amazing. That's very amazing. But again, be careful because it does have a high 4-turn cooldown. But that 100% life recovery, that is what you want. Must have skill right there, self-mending limbs. On to skills group 3 we go. This skill is interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I think I'm leaning more towards I don't like it. Destructive Monstrosity. Randomly applies one of the following. Instant death. Incredible. Death after 3 turns, delayed kill, not that incredible. Nightmares or shock, yikes, not that incredible. And it requires a high 3-turn cooldown. So it's kind of like, do you want to gamble with this monster? Because if you do Destructive Monstrosity, there is a 25% chance that you instant kill one enemy monster. And there's another 25% chance that you activate delayed kill, which depending on who you're facing might come in handy, but again, for the most part, I don't think so. And then Nightmares and Shocked, it's just like, imagine you just do Nightmares and Shocked. It's basically a skills group 3 skill that applies Nightmares or Shock. That really sucks. But again, that 25% chance to instant kill, I think that could maybe possibly be worth considering. I don't know how I feel about this skill. Let's talk about the other 2 skills and we'll come back to Destructive Monstrosity. I'm Not a Monster. Applies taunt to itself, gains a shield that absorbs 50% damage received. Nice. You get yourself damage protection, and you get yourself a taunt, which will attract all of the enemy attacks to you. And this is where it kind of helps that she's kind of a slow monster, because now all the single attacks will be directed to you for a longer duration than if you were a faster monster. So I definitely like I'm Not a Monster. I would run this skill on this monster. And again, you get yourself a 50% shield, which helps. Regain strength. This skill deals very heavy thunder damage to one enemy, applies shock to one enemy, and it doubles your own maximum life. Awesome. Another skill I would say you could definitely run. You double your max life, you have 100% life recovery. If you want, you can give yourself regen. Going back to this, you apply taunt and a 50% shield. So this monster definitely has skills to absorb damage, to reduce the enemy damage output. You have a major damage reduction. And so Destructive Monstrosity. Is it worth running? Do you want to gamble? Do you want to run it? I think 75% of the time you're going to be unhappy. You really want that instant death. So I don't know. I don't know. So I'm actually going to ask you guys, what do you guys think about Destructive Monstrosity? Is it worth running? Is it not worth running? Because personally, I think you should run Self-Mending Limbs for sure. I think you should run Regain Strength. And you should run I'm Not a Monster. So then that just leaves one final skill. So you could run the regen, the spammable regen, so cooldowns activated isn't a threat. You could run the major damage reduction, the AoE damage reduction. Or you could run the single target potential. It's a random skill. It's too much of a gamble for my liking. And also keep in mind, if you don't run skills group 1, all of your cooldowns are high. 3 churn, 4 churn, 3 churn, 3 churn, 3 churn. So you're gonna be a target for any enemy monster doing cooldowns activated. And if this is your go-to defense monster, it is so easy to shut you down for at least 3 churns from the start of the battle. So I kind of feel like Beastly Recovery might be a skill you have to run in your arsenal just for those situations. And then you gotta ask yourself, like, okay, if this is my defense monster and the enemy does do cooldowns activated, and on defense my Francine Frank does activate regen, how much does that really help you out? Sure, you have a life regen, but the enemy monster can apply torture status effects, they could apply control skills, and you still gotta wait 3 churns to be able to do something else. I don't know, overall, I gotta say, I'm not that impressed with this monster. I wish she could do more. Again, I realize her usefulness, especially being able to hold double tenacity. I do realize that. But I don't see this monster. I don't see myself using this monster on offense. I don't see myself putting this monster on defense. If I'm facing a Voltic or a Zyla, even on defense, yeah, I don't think I would consider it. She's too vulnerable. She's slow. She's very slow. The Monstrosity skill is too much of a gamble. Her ult, I don't say is worth using just to put this monster on defense and hope for that 5% chance for her to ult. Overall, I gotta say I am not that impressed. And again, I do realize her usefulness. Like, especially right now with the War Master Zara, I think War Master Zara paved the way for a lot of tanks to be a lot more usable. War Master Zara basically makes all of your monsters immune to torture effects, and she gives all of your monsters 50% more maximum HP. So imagine having War Master Zara and Francine Frank in the same team. You're not going to be able to kill Frank with DOTs, with torture status effects, and you're not going to be able to kill her that easily because she's going to have massive life with so many skills that can either life regen, that recovers 100% of her HP. They can give her even more HP, double HP for that regard. She can taunt, she can damage reduction, she can major damage reduction. But overall, I gotta say, I am not that impressed with this team race monster. And in fact, I'm a lot more impressed with Inquisitor Fullman. I wish this would have been the team race monster. I would have loved to have this monster at rank 3. Again, at the start of the battle, 50% more shield, he can hold a tenacity shield, and then a lot of other great skills. But yeah, this is an analysis on Francine Frank, and so that's my personal opinion. If you were to get this monster though, I would say give her a single life rune, give her 2 team speed, or maybe give her a single speed to increase her low base speed, give her a single life, and she doesn't really have damage output, so she doesn't need a strength. So I would say team speed, single life, single speed, or 2 team speed, single life, and then whenever she gets a churn, you're just gonna taunt the first churn. Next churn, if she gets a churn, maybe double life. I'm not feeling this monster that much. But yeah, it's going to be some combination of team speed, single speed, and life. Or of course you could throw in the team life to give everyone more HP. But with that being said, that is going to conclude my analysis on Francine Frank. And now I want to hear from all of you guys. What do you guys think about this monster? Do you like her how she is? Do you like her skills? Do you think she could have been better? Whatever thoughts you may have, please let me know in the comments below. And I will see you all next time.